What's up, guys? We're back. We got a different kind of video this time. I want to start sprinkling in more of these educational style videos, just so if my channel is the place that you come to stay up to date regarding Ukraine, what's happening here, some of the nuances about some of the stuff that's not covered in the media, I want to be able to provide some of that information. So, like from here in Ukraine. So, if you're here to watch a combat breakdown or watch some crazy high speed shit, this won't be the video for you. Feel free to click off and click one of the hundreds of fucking other videos that we have doing that thing. But for this one, a lot of you guys know my story already. I want to give you a little breakdown. I was a firefighter and an EMT in a smaller town outside of Fort Worth, Texas, prior to the war kicking off. I did that for about 3 years. I was a firefighter for 3 years. I only got my EMT license about the last year of my service with the fire department, and the war kicked off here, and I had X amount of training in emergency services, medical services, all things that I knew based on watching the news in Ukraine, I knew could be helpful for the people there, the civilians who were getting innocently, or the innocent civilians who were getting bombed and injured, and they were just victims of the Russian invasion. So I packed a medical bag. I packed a bag full of clothes. I said, I'm out of here. I bought a ticket to Poland. I found a bus into Ukraine. Excuse me. This was January of 2023. So, like a handful of months after the war started, right? Like a good 6, 7, 8 months after the war started. So I got here. I looked around for a while to figure out how I could help. I literally went to different hospitals and was like, "Hey, how can I help?" I've had my EMT certificate and license. I was showing them like, "Hey, I've got this." Nobody knew what to do with me having foreigners there, especially in the East where there's very few foreigners. It was an oddity. So most people were like, "We don't know, there's no," and they told me to check out an outfit called the International Legion. At the time, I had never heard of the International Legion, but I could only assume it was a group of internationals fighting for Ukraine. And I was right. So I went to them, joined the International Legion as a combat medic, and that's what they assigned me as. I did training with them, and then we deployed to Kupiansk in eastern Ukraine it was like March of 2023, and I was there for about a month and a half on the front. Excuse me. Fast forward a little bit of time, I left Ukraine, got some shit from the U.S., decided I was going to move here, and I moved here, ended up joining a unit called, it's pronounced Azov, but I call it Azov, but properly is Azov. I joined this unit. I met the amazing commander, or my amazing commander Carl, who has just been great. And I've been with this unit. We're going on 2 years. It's over a year now. So it's been an awesome experience. I trained under Azov, and I fought, and I deployed, and I fought with Azov and other international Azov soldiers and the Ukrainian Azov battalions as well. So great experience. So I get a ton of questions. Probably it's up there in like the top 10 most asked questions. How are you Jewish and in Azov? Azov is for Nazis. Azov is the symbol is a wolf, or the chevron is a wolf angle, which is related to the SS in World War II. I had this guy in my Instagram Instagram comments yesterday just blowing it up, and he was Jewish too. He was a U.S. Marine and Jewish, and he was just talking mad shit. Like, I hope you feel good dying for Nazis in Ukraine. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I don't blame the guy. He's just uneducated, and I think this is a good way to help educate. And plus, like I said, these kinds of articles and websites, they help educate me as well. So this specific website I wanted to check out is called Azov Contra Fake. And the whole idea is to address the main claims regarding the unit and breaking them down as to why it was this way and why this came about and why it's not true. One thing, and you'll never hear me give any props to the Russians, right? This is 100% a biased channel. I am in the Ukrainian military. I am biased towards Ukraine and the Ukraine war effort to beat Russia, okay? If you're looking for an unbiased narrative, it's going to be elsewhere. But I will say I lost my train of thought because I just went off on that. Oh, yeah, so and the Azov Contra fake will... It kind of... It breaks up this narrative of the Nazism and stuff. So the Nazification. This guy right here, Denis Prokopenko, he is... Oh, shit, I'm in the way. Oops, sorry, guys. I will minimize myself. Come out over here. This is the commander of Azov, when it was just Azov Brigade. He is in his later 20s. He is an absolute beast of a commander. He started as an infantryman and worked his way all the way up. So he has earned it and from the ground up and became a commander. And that's kind of one of the cool things about Azov. It's not like some other units where maybe you can be grandfathered into a leadership position, or if you are good friends with someone else in a leadership position, they can help kind of push you into a leadership position. No, that's not the case here. You have to earn it, and you have to start from the bottom, and it's really cool. So I really respect the commander here, and he's always in the shit. So he's not, in in Western Ukraine, thousands of kilometers from the action, making orders and commands and stuff. No, he's actually in the shit, and he is the main commander of all of Azov. So it's really cool. That was kind of a side note. So this is kind of oh, that's what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought. The one thing that Russia is extremely good at is their disinformation and propaganda machine. This is very well acknowledged and documented, and it has been for decades. Everybody knows that the Russian propaganda machine it's top tier, and they are very good at painting a specific narrative in order to rationalize their agenda, right? So I'm not going to go through all this and read all this, but something it says is one of the primary goals of the full-scale war was, or as declared by Russian President Putin, is the so-called denazification of Ukraine. He claimed that neo-Nazis had taken over the power in Ukraine, a narrative quickly adopted by Russian propaganda machine. The narrative was chosen for specific reasons. All right, the term denazification evokes the USSR's role in defeating Nazism during World War II, creating a sense of historical righteousness for Russia in its war against Ukraine. So there's still construction going on in the building I'm in. So there's some ambient noise. Russia uses this narrative to demonize Ukrainian government, armed forces, mobilize its population internally, and reduce support for Ukraine in Western societies, which has worked. Denazification serves as a pretext for military intervention presented as morally necessary. Right, because if you hear denazification, of course you want to back that up. Nobody likes fucking Nazis, dude. Russia exploits the complex history of Ukrainian nationalist movements during World War II, which fought against Soviet power for Ukraine's independence from USSR. Okay, so we won't get too... Wait, what does this say? Due to the high motivation and professionalism training of fighters, the unit became the main target for... Okay, yeah, because Azov Brigade at the time became so effective, it was really easy for Russia, for Putin to pick out, okay, these guys we are going to narrow it down and demonize this unit, right? So let's go to this. Here's a detailed analysis of the main myths of... where's the best place for me to be? Maybe I'll move over here. Here's a detailed analysis of the main myths about Azov and a detailed rationale that debunks them. Myth 1, Azov Brigade fighters share xenophobic, racist, and sexist views. All right, so there's a bunch of these. I'll go through the ones that I think are most relevant or the ones I see asked most often in my comment section. Sorry, this is the construction I was talking about. Before we jump into this, I want to mention my experience with Nazism and anti-Semitism or anything like that since I've been in Ukraine. Because I've been here for a while, especially as a foreigner. Out of all the foreigners, I've been here some longer than some, a large percentage. So I want to share my example. When I was in the International Legion, I ran into a group. It was a group of about 4 guys, and I noticed some SS's like marked onto some of their kit, their helmet, their plate carriers and shit. This was during training. And I thought I saw some swastika stuff. I don't know. I'm really big on the anti-Nazi shit, so immediately I confronted these guys. So, like I said, it was about 4 of them, and it was in the International Legion. None of them were Ukrainian. They all happened to be French. They were Frenchmen, and I confronted them, and it kind of became this thing. It was in the barracks at the time. Any of the boys who were with me in the International Legion who watch my content can attest to this in the comments. But it kind of became a big thing because none of them spoke English, and I came up to them pretty aggressively. I don't speak French, and I came up to them with my arm like this and pointing, "Are you a Nazi? Because I'm a Jew. Juden." And so naturally, everybody's chilling in the barracks, right? Everybody's on their phones, on their bunks. They see this start to take place, and the American side of the bunker stands up, right? And the bunker's kind of divided up into the countries of origin of volunteers, right? So the French are over here, the South Americans are over here, and it's not because they don't like each other. It's just easier to communicate, right? So the American side of the bunker stood up, and they're like hopping over the bunks and shit, trying to get over to me to see what this is about. Same with the French side of the bunker. They stood up, and it ended up me talking to kind of the leader of the French soldiers, and he became a good buddy of mine. His name's he goes by Bones, and Bones was like, no. He's like, let me explain. So how much of this is the truth, I will never know. But he explained to me that in France, they are a part of an extremely nationalist group that believe France is for French people. It needs to be French. And it's not for anybody it's basically not for anybody who will come from the outside to come in and fuck with their culture and what they've built over the centuries. Okay. He said these symbols and stuff that they have on their packs and gear represent this ideology that they have. Like I said, how much of that is true, I don't know. I've heard of the extremely nationalist Frenchmen. I've met a lot of them, actually. How many of them are actual Nazis? None of them that I've met. Like, none of them had issues with me being Jewish, other black guys, Mexican dudes, other South Americans. No, they just were very passionate about their country, France. So that was my one and only experience with. Okay. Well, there's another one I'm going to cover a little bit later, but my biggest experience with Nazism in Ukraine, and they weren't even Ukrainian; they were Frenchmen. Okay, Azov Brigade fighters share xenophobic, racist, and sexist views. Myth 1, Azov Brigade fighters, blah, blah, blah. Throughout the unit's history, representatives of different ethnicities and religions have served in it. Georgians, Armenians, Jews, Russians, Belarusians, Crimean Tatars, Greeks, Georgian, can't say that, or don't know how to say it, Kuparashvili, who played a key role in the creation of Azov, served in the unit for 9 years in 2022, took part in the defense of Mariupol, was seriously wounded and evacuated by a helicopter. Oh, Georgie. Okay, so this is Georgie specifically. That's his last name. That's why I couldn't pronounce it. Georgian army officer, was killed during the defense of Mariupol, veteran of the Russian-Georgian War, a legend of Georgia Special Forces, became an instructor of the Azov Special Forces Detachment in 2014 prior to the full-scale invasion. Along with a group of... Oh, shit. All right, let me see. Azov combat medic Hassan is a Crimean Tatar who practices Islam and is known for his address to Turkish President Recep Erdogan from the Azovstal plant during its siege by Russian troops. Mufti of Religious Administration of Muslims of Ukraine, Ummah, Sheikh Murat, okay, I can't say that, recorded a video and message in Arabic in which he called on a political and religious leaders of Muslim countries to facilitate the exchange of Azov POWs, including Muslims. During the defense of Azovstal, Azov fighter Mikhail, an ethnic... Oh, I know her. That's crazy. An ethnic Greek appealed to the Greek parliament to help Ukraine and the defenders of Mariupol. He is currently in Russian captivity, he told parliament. My grandfather fought in World War II against the Nazis. He was injured 3 times. I was born in Mariupol, and I take part in the defense of the city from the Russian Nazis. I will not talk about the difficulties we have in defense, participating in the Ukrainian defense through the Azov Regiment. This is my debt to my city, my debt as a man, and I have to talk about the catastrophic conditions in which Greek Mariupol finds itself. Women also serve in Azov Brigade. Svetlana decided she can continue her mission. She was in captivity for fucking 11 months. Jesus Christ. The Russians are bad to people in captivity, let alone, beautiful women like this. Good Lord, man. I couldn't imagine. That is awful. A lot of women serve in Azov Medical Corps. That's very true. Okay, so this was expelling xenophobic, racist, and sexist views. There's all kinds of different races, ethnicities, and I've shared that with you guys before, especially in the International Battalion. We've got all kinds. Let's go back. Azov Brigade fighters, anti-Semitic views. I've kind of covered that, but it's myth number 2, so we'll see. Very beginning of Azov's existence, ethnic Jews have served in its ranks. One of the most famous Azov fighters of Jewish origin, Ruslan Surbov, with the call sign David, which directly refers to the figure of biblical king of Judea and Israel. He visited Israel in November of 2022 for rehabilitation purposes due to amputation of his leg as a result of injuries sustained from the defense of Mariupol. His brother Arthur took part in combat operations in the ATO zone in eastern Ukraine. Okay, so they're giving examples of other Jews in Azov, basically. There's a lot. All right, cool. Let's go to list of myths. Since 2014, fighters of Azov Brigade have been persecuting Russian... Azov symbol... Okay, here. Azov symbol has neo-Nazi implications. The Azov symbol, like the Azov flag, has never been associated with Nazism or neo-Nazi ideology. Since the unit's establishment, the Azov patch has always had a single meaning, national idea. There's an N and then the I, N-I. These two words abbreviated the combination of the letters N and I. Depicted in the Azov logo, the national idea for the Azov fighters implies a militant devotion to the Ukrainian people and willingness to sacrifice their own health and even their lives for the well-being and the safety of Ukrainians in Ukraine. I've explained this a number of times, but yes, this symbol, I-N, can it look similar to a swastika or wolf's angle? Sure, yeah, okay. Moving on, right? That's the only implication that you can, that it may have a similar look, but there's no ideology or anything tied behind this that is related to Nazism. So, pretty simple. Neo-Nazi accusations. Let me see. We'll probably end on that. Azov tattoos feature runes. I've got a lot of runes. Oh, it's hard to tell on my arm. Because the fighters are Nazis. Azov is recognized as a terrorist organization in the Western world. That's actually interesting because that just as of recently has become kind of not so prevalent. All right, here's detailed analysis of the main... okay. Here's Redis again, the commander, Dennis. Azov is not listed as a terrorist organization in the United States. Azov is a legitimate party in the Ukrainian army and is a unit of the National Guard of Ukraine. Delegations comprising Azov representatives have made 2 business visits to the U.S. in 2022 and 2023. Azov member Georgi, we just talked about that guy, met with representatives of Congress, Senate, veterans, journalists. In addition, spoke at a Stanford University with the renowned American philosopher Francis Fukuyama. Subsequently has publicly supported Azov in his tweets. Urban Warfare Studies, Modern Institute. Sorry, I'm trying to find kind of the meat and potatoes of the article here. So, excuse me. If you guys don't know already, there's Frodo, there's Legion. That's cool. So these would be interesting to watch. If you guys have time, go check out the Azov Brigade YouTube channel. If you don't know, a while back now, a handful of years, Azov was considered a terrorist organization because of the Russian propaganda that affiliated Azov with Nazis. Okay? Since then, it has been researched, it has been looked into, and very simply debunked and been taken off of any terrorist list that it may have been on in the past. So, I don't want to drag this out too long, but I think these videos are important for all kinds of reasons, but specifically because right now, in the current environment of this war, Azov is playing a major role in the defense of the country. So it's important that people know the truth about it, and they don't have this idea that somewhere deep within, the ranks, that there's this hidden cabal of Nazis and anti-Semitism and shit like that. It's not there. I tell you guys straight out, it's not there. Anybody who knows me, who's known me for a longer period of time, knows that I don't take well to that kind of stuff, and it would never be an option. Like I said at the beginning of this, it would never be an option for me to join. I volunteered to join this unit, right? It's not like I was conscripted into this unit. I volunteered to join this, and I wouldn't join a fucking Nazi unit. My last personal story, then we'll end this video, and it's my second and last run-in or experience of Nazism in Ukraine. Again, was another foreigner. This other foreigner, was from Norway. And this guy, it was the whole 9 yards. This guy had swastika tattoos. He believed, now this is extreme. This is an extreme example, but he believed that basically Adolf Hitler was a good person. I'll put it that way. So me and this guy was in the same unit as I was, and he knew very well that I was Jewish, and I ended up learning that he had very strong Nazi ideology. So, and granted, this wasn't known through his application process when he was recruited, anything like that, right? So this guy had also already served in multiple other units in Ukraine, fought, been injured, solid soldier. So him and I ended up having multiple very long conversations, just out of interest. His interest behind me, my interest behind his ideology. And very simply, he put it this way. He's like, I have no problems with you. I have no problems with Jews, with black people, with any other people of different color, ethnicity, race, religion, right? His main issue is when, how do I say this the most properly? His main issue is with these other cultures come into already established cultures and try to ruin it or change it, right? So this might open a can of worms, but we're seeing a pretty good example of this in the UK right now with the amount of immigrants, illegal and legal immigrants in that country who have managed to they have changed food culture. They have changed street signs. They have languages. They have changed government policy. They have changed all kinds of stuff to fit the country that they came from, rather than the already instituted policies and street signs and language and culture of the UK, or the different nations in UK. So this was this guy's main issue. He hated that concept when people would come in and change shit, especially when you would see like these groups of immigrants coming in, raping, murdering women, children. This is what pushed his ideology to such an extreme. Plus, in Norway, they kind of have this tie with the Nordic runes, and ideology can sometimes be tied into a God, I don't even know. That's a messy topic. It kind of be tied into maybe somehow into a Nazi ideology. But I mean, there's no denying that this dude, like I said, had swastika tattoos, and he openly to some of us would share his beliefs, and definitely not to everybody. He wouldn't walk around doing the Sig Heil or anything like that, but he would share this. But again, one of the closest people to him in our unit was me, the Jew, right? And we would have these long conversations and talks. And the other close person to him was a black dude from the UK. So, I mean, he obviously these things meant something different to him than anti-Semitism and kill Jews and shit like that. But those were my two examples, and my only two examples of Nazism, Nazification, Nazi ideology in Ukraine. And both examples were non-Ukrainian. They had nothing to do with Ukrainians. There's a massive Ukrainian Jewish culture here too, which is not very well known or publicized. But yeah, so I hope this was at least a little bit educational. This, to me, most of this stuff here is, I live this life, right? And I live here in Ukraine. I'm in the military. I wear this patch on my shoulder. So this is obvious to me, this kind of stuff, but it wasn't at first. I did my own research. I asked my own questions and stuff like that. So for somebody who's millions, who's thousands of miles, thousands of kilometers away, I understand how it could be confusing, especially with the efficiency of the Russian propaganda machine. So hopefully this was helpful. I'll shut up. I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe, do all that shit. We'll see you in the next video.